Good evening, everyone. We're going to let Allison take a few minutes to get connected. We've got a few minutes before we get into her part of the. Hi, Courtney. How are you? Can't hear you either.
Oh, well, I had my microphone muted.
Okay, all right. So Allison, take your time because we've got some things ahead of you, but we'll try to get your audio up and working hopefully in the interim. So with that, we will open the meeting, the February 3rd meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Just join me in prayer. Dear Father Almighty, we come to you humbly seeking your guidance, inspiration, and continued motivation. We ask that you give us foresight, patience, and perseverance that is needed to conduct our business here tonight. We pray that we do conduct all of our affairs with honesty, integrity, and fairness, and that we meet the challenges before us and conduct the work of the people who have entrusted us to serve them. This we ask in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin.
Here.
Councilman Aragosa.
Here.
Councilman Godlewski.
Here.
Councilwoman Wersbowski.
Here.
Supervisor Crutchley.
Here. So the gang's all here, virtual or otherwise. We will just make one change to our agenda. It seems fairly long. I don't think it will really be as long as it looks, but item number 24, we're going to pull off the agenda. We're just not ready to move forward with that grant fund application yet related to the green infrastructure stormwater management practices within the Freeman's Bridge Road Gateway area. I expect to be back soon, our next meeting, but we're just not ready there to continue with that one yet. Not all our ducks in a row. So we'll be pulling that one. With that, we'll start town council reports. So why don't we start on the webinar and then we'll come back in person. So we'll start on my left, Mike Godlewski on the screen.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just wanted to share, and Village Trustee Justin Cook has been promoting this quite frequently, and maybe others were going to share this, but there is a drive-through food pantry. It's February 23rd. It's going to start at 6 p.m. It's at Collins Park on Kiwanis Way, kind of what I would view as the backside of Collins Park off of Shawnee Ave. So again, that's February 23rd, 6 p.m. drive-through food pantry. It's contactless pickup. So anybody that's in need, or if you know of anyone in our community that's in need, please share that information with them. And that's all.
Thank you. Councilman Wersbowski.
The only thing I just wanted to comment on, Mr. Supervisor, is I'd like to thank all of our highway workers, DPW workers that were out plowing in the storm. Yet another storm, another week, another storm seems to be the theme. They've spent long hours, and I think it's a good idea to just recognize them and say thank you for keeping our roads safe and clearing our roads. And also, I'd like to thank our town hall employees as well, because I know that they've had to be pretty flexible of late with their hours and such, and you know, they seem to have their eye on the ball, which is serving the residents and making sure that their needs are met. So I just really wanted to publicly thank them for all that they do. That's it.
Thank you. We'll start on my left in the room with Councilman Aragosa.
Mr. Supervisor, just a couple notes on that, what Mike Godlewski was talking about with the drive-through. Justin Cook and Heather Gray have approached me about the idea of maybe the town and the village work together on another one coming up in March. The one that he's working on in February is being sponsored by the Rupendal Lodge down there on Shawnee Avenue. So I'd like to talk about a little bit more about that at our next executive session, our next meeting, planning meeting, and maybe we can come together and get a working relationship with the village and bring some more help to the residents that are insecure. As I go, I did a drive-through on Monday with the Catholic Charities in Crosstown Plaza. 16 pallets of food, which was all delivered to someone somewhere or picked up. So the need is definitely out there. On Monday and Wednesdays, I'm delivering groceries for Bethesda House, which they're delivering anywhere in the county. I've been in Scotia Glenville area on a few occasions, so we know that there's people who are calling and asking for help. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
No report tonight.
Oh, all right. Well, then we don't have to go all the way there. See that? It helped. Ellison, did you get any success in getting audio? No, I see you have a green light, but we still can't hear you. There are two other options. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So when we get to you, we're ready. Thank you.
All right, terrific.
Thank you. So right now, though, we're at privilege of the floor. I'll open the meeting to privilege of the floor. Anyone who wishes to be heard, open privilege of the floor on any matter before the town. And privilege of the floor is now open. Just raise your hand if you're interested in being heard at privilege of the floor. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Privilege of the floor is now closed. We'll now move on to a variety of public hearings. We'll see how fast this goes, but we will start. Oh no, actually I got supervisor's comments to the board. So let me just do that fairly quickly. Just to keep all the board members up to date as they're going on, all the going ons in the town. We continue to hold, I want to start with just giving a report that we continue to hold our police reform committee meetings in this room Thursday evenings with Chief Janik and the committee members, and it's a fairly large committee. We've had our second meeting now. In our second meeting, we looked at crime stats within the town of Glenville, and we broke those down by gender and demographic information and analyzed that with the committee members and talked about the different places that the hot spots turns out being really only one hot spot in the town of Glenville, and I don't have to, it's not a spoiler alert, I don't have to tell you where that is, Walmart. And Walmart has driven a lot of our arrests and our shoplifting in particular arrests. We will be meeting again tomorrow, and we'll be talking about law enforcement assisted diversion programs. We'll be talking about community-based outreach and conflict resolution ideas and violence prevention and reduction interventions. And so I do want to just thank Steve Janik. He has done a phenomenal job. He has put together a tremendous amount of information for the committee to conduct its work. And we will have a report ready. It will come to this board. There'll be a public hearing on it for folks to weigh in, and then we'll have a report ready for the governor by April 1st, which is the deadline. That's also the deadline for the pandemic plan that I'm writing, and Earl and Vicky are assisting in, and we'll also have that filed April 1st. The pandemic plan goes to the union leaders, presidents tomorrow for review and comment, and then after that, it comes back to me, and then we'll have that plan ready to go as well. I'm really excited that after long awaited, Melissa and I were very excited that we finally signed the DEC sidewalk grant that will bring sidewalks. This is a huge win for the town. We'll bring sidewalks to Burton Hill School District, the Niskayuna School District, and the Scotia Glenville School District in proximity to their schools. We led on that the town of Glenville got done for our school districts, for our families, for our children. This was put on hold after COVID hit last year. That we're about a year behind, unfortunately, but we are now going forward with this. This grant that I just signed and that we applied for brings in $434,000 in this town to help the 3 school districts get these sidewalks done. It's going to make it more walkable, something that this administration has been very focused on. It's going to make it safer for our children. And I'm proud to say that when I went down there and I stood in the middle of the road with these folks and they said, you know, Chris, for 30 years, we've been trying to get sidewalk done. And I'm proud today that we're getting it done. So we're moving forward. The Scotia Glenville sidewalk going to Sacandaga Elementary School is ahead of the other 2 currently because that is a town road shared with the village, and we are able to move that along faster. The Applause one, we're working very closely and in good relations with the county on that. That's a county road. They will be doing a engineering study so that we can move forward with that one, but we're only waiting for the county. The money is now available, and we'll be moving the Burnt Hills Boston Lake one further along as well. That is also on a county road, and we'll be working with them on moving that forward. So that's a good day here in Glenville and very good news for our residents. I had the opportunity to meet with another Boy Scouts pack virtually. It's very exciting every time I get a chance as part of our youth outreach to meet with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and talk about local government and general civics. And it was a very good meeting. I got a ton of questions. And if you ever get questioned by a member, a youth, younger person under say 16, you get very interesting questions and very honest questions. So that was very, very fun. Vicki and I met with Park Planning again virtually to discuss a variety of projects going on in the parks for 2021. It's going to be a very good year. And one of those projects, I also had an opportunity to meet with the Scotia Rotary and the Glenville Rotary, and working with them as well. And others, we're close to getting our inclusive playground started in Melwick Park. That's a very important project to us and to the park. We're working with the Native Americans now on the archaeological dig that is required in that sensitive area. And once that's done, we'll be able to get our tubes in the ground and get our equipment in the ground. And everyone's excited about this one. We have a lot of partners working with us, including the county, Kiwanis, as I mentioned, the 2 Rotary clubs. And we have a grant into Stewart's, and we're hopeful that Stewart's will help us with that as well. Also met with the veterans on the Legacy Project to discuss next steps on that project here in the town of Glenville. But one of the things I did want to mention to folks is the banner program continues. We're very excited about the banner program for our veterans. We have about 30 applicants in so far. We have 33 polls. So you would think that leaves 3 more spots, but it was very popular so far. But what I think we're going to decide to do, talking to our partners, Glenville Rotary, and that is go front to back and open it up to have somewhere about 60. So we're going to continue to push for that. If anyone knows any veterans who are interested, Glenville, Scotia residents who are interested to be on the banners, this is an important, nice project, and it'd be great if we can get now double our goal and get 60 at least. So that would be great. Real quick on finances, because you know that's how things are around here. We have to talk about finances. Our 4th quarter sales tax check was better than we anticipated, so that's good news. It's higher than our 4th quarter check in 2019, but our total year sales tax revenue has fallen 1.5%, which is very good for us in a year of COVID. So we hope that things will return to normal after COVID and we get back to sales tax growth, but we'll see. We had a better quarter than we anticipated. Our revenues rebounded somewhat in the 4th quarter as well, but still ended 2020 with the lowest year in court revenues since 2016. And that is really because they're closed, and that's a issue. Our 2020 court revenues of $184,000 represent 22% drop from 2019. So we did take it pretty hard in court revenues as far as the budget is concerned. So that in dollars translates to $51,000 shortfall in that line. So that's going to be an issue. We don't know when court is going to open. But as I understand it, or I've been told, as of April 1st, the legislature, I guess, passed and the governor has signed a new law that would prohibit suspension of license for non-payment of tickets. And so now there is no mechanism to compel anyone to pay their ticket without a suspension as an option. So we believe that we'll probably see greater, I'm told a third, if not more, of our tickets come in on threat of suspension. That's when they actually start paying, at least a third. I'm also told that this bill compels our court to now take installment payments. So you could have a $200 ticket and you can say, here's $3. Thank you very much. And as long as I give you my $3, now you really can't even issue a warrant against me because now I'm technically in the installment plan. So this is getting crazy. I got to be honest with you, but this is where we are with it. And we'll just have to adjust accordingly to living in the great state of New York. Most notably on our expenses, the items regarding retirement for multiple members of our police department has come in fairly high. We have some more retirements than we anticipated. 4 retiring officers, so their unused sick and vacation time plus accumulated comp will total $225,000 that we will have to pay this year. This is a moment for us to pause and make a point. If it was not for our solid finances and our solid financial planning of protecting the fund balance and not overspending that in previous budgets, we would not be able to have had our reserve account for this very situation. But because we have a retirement reserve account, we are able to meet this obligation without any new impacts to our residents or any negative impacts to our budget. That's an important point. And I hope people understand it, because this is what we're doing to make sure that we're protecting our taxpayers in this town. So we will be able to meet that payout in 2021 while still keeping the tax rate below 1%. And lastly, although we're into February, our 2020 books will remain open for a few more weeks, but we do expect surpluses, even in the year of COVID, in the town general, town outside, and sewer funds. We expect to break even in the highway fund, and we're going to run a small deficit in the water fund. We have had a number of water breaks recently. Last year, we had a record amount of water breaks. Our infrastructure is aging. We need to make investments in our infrastructure. We work with the state. We're trying to get the state to create an infrastructure fund. But I want to take a moment, as Councilwoman Rosbowski talked about the highway workers, and they've done a phenomenal job. Our DPW folks in dealing with these water breaks. On Friday night, if you remember what the temperature was Friday night, it was like 3 degrees. Our employees were in a hole, dealing with frozen water, dealing with getting wet. It was snowing, and they stayed on that job late into Friday night. And I just want to thank them for that. That's not easy work. We know that. And it was very much appreciated by the residents. So thank you to our employees for that. That's all I have for comments. I'll move on to the public hearings, and that we'll start with item number 7, which is a public hearing related to our proposed amendments to the fees chapter of our code. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishes to be heard on that matter? I have a write-up from our last meeting. We talked about it. I just want to let you know this is increasing the fees. I know Councilman Martin and Melissa put this together. This is increasing the fees relating to the number of staff hours that are needed for building and planning office for drawing review, administrative work, and inspection of sites. So this includes new fees to building permits for swimming pools, zoning certification letters, and review of resubmittal drawings during the application process for both building permits and planning approvals. Public hearing is open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter?
The other thing I want to comment on this is also, the building permit process as mandated by New York State is an ever increasingly complex process. So the code just changed a year or two ago again. It's requiring more staff time for reviews of the plans as they come in for compliance. The training is more and more robust to get the staff up to meet state requirements. And so it's requiring more and more time in the field for inspections as a result of that. So I just want people to understand this is not enforcement of a local code or just our local laws, but a lot of it is the state building code and the increasing complexity that's associated with that.
Thank you. Public hearing is open. I do not see any hands. So going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. The next public hearing is to hear all those interested regarding a proposal to the amendments known as terminology in the code of the town of Glenville. This is to change terminology, or to add with the changing times, I should say. Makes an amendment to add definitions of CBD oil, hookah, recreational marijuana, in order to clarify the intent of exemptions in the definition of retail. The current code exempts vape shops in the definition of retail, while the intent was to exempt e-cigarette shops, CBD, and recreational marijuana shops, as well as hookah retail of both equipment and smoking materials. So this is a change to the code that would further define the terminology that in our earlier law wasn't contemplated, and really defines what we're talking about in vape shops. So I'll open that public hearing. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter, changing that terminology? Going once, going twice, seeing none, that is now closed. Next public hearing deals with the solar farm overlay district. This is an important, this is for the solar farm overlay district is an important law that we're looking to bring into the town solar projects, and it's also an important part of our Solar for Projects initiative. This would, the GECC given us a negative declaration recommendation to the town board after their extensive review of the seeker, as well as review of the language and proposed overlay district zoning amendments. So the GECC has reviewed this, and they have provided for a recommendation of a negative dec. I'll open the public hearing on that. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. I do have a comment here from a resident who said that she had her hand raised for the second public hearing, but I didn't call on her. I did not see it. I still don't see it raised, but I think, Susan, you're on a telephone. Is that correct? Let me, hang on, Susan. Let me try to find you.
Can you hear me?
Susan, we can hear you now. So you wanted to be heard on the second one, which is a terminology one.
Right. Thank you for, yeah, I don't know why you didn't see my hand raised, but thank you for noticing the note. So I assume there was a document on the website that said definitions, so I assume that was the terminology one. I wanted to mention a couple of things. One, that you spelled cannabidiol wrong in that definition, so you might want to correct that. And I don't know if it's an error or what. In the marijuana dispensary definition, you have what it says is an establishment for selling marijuana and associated products, both medical (parentheses CBD) or recreational concentrations. CBD is not medical marijuana. Medical marijuana and CBD are completely different things. CBD does not have any of the active components of marijuana in it. It doesn't get you high. So by having that written that way, you're implying something, that people might have a reason to be alarmed about CBD, and I don't know if that's intentional because you want to regulate it as an adult business, which doesn't make any sense because it doesn't get you high. There's no reason for it to be treated as anything, unappealing or something that people wouldn't want to have around. It's so that's my comment on that definition, that it's not accurate and it's misleading.
Thank you, Susan. So we'll record those comments for the public hearing if that's okay. So we went through the public hearing on the solar overlay. We are now going to open the public hearing on the public benefit fee projects for the solar district overlay. I will open that public hearing. This goes hand in hand with the public hearing we just had and goes hand in hand with the solar for parks initiative that we have going on. And this is an amendment that adds solar overlay district that permits solar farms on 30 or more acre properties within half a mile of a substation. The proposed text was reviewed and approved by the Code Committee, GECC, the Planning Board, and the County Planning Department. So the public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on this matter? And I do not see any hands and no comments. So I will say going once, going twice. The public hearing is now closed. The next public hearing relates to proposed amendments to Chapter 270, 157A, penalties and offenses of the Code of Glenville. This one proposes to create a minimum civil fine of $150 for zoning violations. At this time, there is no minimum, only maximum set at $350, $700, and $1,000 based on the number of offenses. So there seems to be an increase in zoning violations as of late. There seems to be really no penalty attached to them other than maximums that can be set, but there's no minimum. This would seek to add the minimum of $150. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Seeing no hands and no written comments, going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Next public hearing is to hear all those interested in a amendment to parcels 231 Saratoga Road and 233 Saratoga Road. Before I open this public hearing, I would like to invite Ellison. I can't see your name, your last name, so I apologize because the screen's too far away from me, but with MJ Engineering, correct?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm Allison Levine from MJ Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of MAG Land Development, and we're seeking to rezone two parcels, 231 Saratoga Road and 233 Saratoga Road. 233 Saratoga Road is the current Well Now property, and 231 is the current dentist office just to the south. Our client would like to turn 231 into a food service, and that is not allowed in the current zone. So we would like to extend the general business zone to 231 and 233 Saratoga Road. Do you have the map in front of you, or do you need me to share my screen to show you? Or
If you can share your screen for Gina and Mike, I just have to turn it over to you. Hold on just one moment.
Okay.
And you should have it.
All right, let's see here.
on your dashboard, it should say something about showing the screen.
Yeah. Let's see, webcam. I don't see it. I see chat. Well, so
There's a big button with an arrow. That's okay, Allison.
okay. Sorry about that. So it's across from
That's
Target.
okay.
So, yep. So are there any questions, or do you want me to keep on explaining the location?
Well, I think everyone's familiar with the location. Obviously, it's across from Target. Well, now is the building's there now, and then next to it, where the former dentist office is where the food service or the food application is going. So I think we're all familiar with it.
Okay.
So I don't know. Does anyone have any questions for Yvonne before we start the public hearing?
The variances, have they been approved?
No, variances have not been approved. Not yet. The first step is to change the zoning.
Right, that's what
Anything else? Okay, what I'm going to do then is open the public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on this matter? This would change the zoning of the current 231 and 233 Saratoga Road to general business to accommodate development of the well now. Well, the well now is already there, but for the food use. Going once, seeing no hands and no written comments, going twice. That public hearing is now closed. Thank you, Yvonne. You're welcome to stay and listen to all this other great stuff we're doing, or you could jump off, but we look forward to working with you, and we're excited about the project. So thank you. The next public hearing is to hear anyone interested in proposed amendments to 270-24 1B4 adult business use overlay districts, uses allowed of the Code of Glenville. And that one is an amendment that adds the newly defined recreational marijuana, hookah, CBD oil to the list of permitted uses allowed within the overlay, the adult overlay district. So I will open that public hearing. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? I see Susan has her hand up. Susan?
Hi.
Hello.
So yeah, I guess I have 2 comments and a question on that. So the first comment is that it's silly to act like marijuana dispensaries are something worse, more dangerous, or more distasteful than, say, liquor stores, given that alcohol is much more dangerous in many ways in terms of public health, psychological health, physical health, than marijuana is. But I know that a lot of people don't believe that and have a prejudice against marijuana. So putting that aside, to repeat what I said before, since CBD is not marijuana, doesn't have any of the active chemicals in marijuana that get people high, has none of those intoxicating effects or anything like that. It makes absolutely no sense. There's no rational justification for treating CBD shops as adult businesses. There's nothing to put them in that category. So those are my 2 comments, and then my question for clarification is that does this? I assume that this is correct, but just to clarify, does this mean that anybody who's maybe currently selling CBD from their house, which, as I'm sure you know, people are already doing in the town of Glenville, that would now be illegal?
We'll take that question up as we get to the actual resolution, and I'll ask Melissa to weigh in on that when we get to it. Is that all? Is that all, Susan?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're still on the public hearing. Anyone else wish to be heard regarding that matter? I'm checking for more. No more hands or no more comments. Seeing none. Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Move on to item 14, a resolution scheduling a public hearing for Wednesday, February 17th regarding the establishment of an extension of Sewer District 9 to include 58 Swaggertown Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Got a motion. I got a motion from Councilman Aragosa. I got a second from Councilwoman Rosbowski. Again, this is to consider establishing adding 58 Swaggertown Road into Sewer District 9, and this is a scheduling a public hearing. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, scheduling a public hearing on that same day, time, and place regarding the extension of Sewer District 7 to include 5 Van Slyke Avenue. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Rosbowski,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilman Martin. Again, this is setting the public hearing to extend Sewer District 7 to the described property. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa? Councilman Lewis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution adopting local law 1 of 2021, amending section 139 fees to the for the town of Glenville. This, we just had a public hearing on related to the fees that Councilman Martin and I explained were needed for building permits and things like that. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, adopting local law number 2 of 2021, amending Article 2 terminology, section 270-3 definitions of the code, town of Glenville. This, as we talked about earlier, is the amendment that adds definitions of the CBD oil, hookah, recreational marijuana, and we just had a public hearing on it. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Perhaps we get Melissa to chime in on the clarification on the prior question.
Well, the prior question is going to come up later. That's a later resolution.
But she asked that question on, both resolutions. So we adopt it before, we get.
That question was only asked in the next, the resolution that,
He was asking about taking in both 17, it was a similar question.
well, let's have, it doesn't hurt to have Melissa answer the question now
The question was about the CBD,
in homes.
Why?
Yeah, the first one was just spelling, but it doesn't matter. We'll just have her answer the question now. Let me just find her. Hang on. Melissa, can you hear us?
Hi, of course.
And we can hear you. So the first question was about spelling, which I think is just, housekeeping. That's not a big issue. The second question on this one was related to what, Linda?
She was talking about incorrect description of CBD.
Yeah, she just didn't like the description of CBD. Do you have anything to answer to that, Melissa, or?
As medicinal, I had listed it that way, meaning that there were, in the adult use overlay, that there's 3 separate issues. There's cannabis is both potentially recreational and potentially health related. And when I
Yep.
did a little bit of research, it appeared that CBD, which is just a different mix of the chemicals in the plant, had more therapeutic uses, and that's what I meant by medicinal. I know there may be additional
Right.
that what we consider the smoking marijuana that people use recreationally may have more pain reduction capacities, but the CBD does as well. And again, I'm not a pharmacist or anything. I'm wading into an area that I'm, really not an expert in, but that was the rationale for it. So you have CBD as more the health, pain relief, or other palliative type of care, and then you have hookah, I think, was listed in the actual adult uses overlay, which is considered more of it's the tubing. Traditionally, it's the tubing and the pipes and all that stuff. They've since created something that's a little more
Correct.
savvy than what was originally a hookah. And then also the recreational marijuana has its own group of tools, paraphernalia that would be used. So that was the rationale behind it. Whatever the board decides, obviously, I would.
In reality, there's a link between all of these products. They're all pretty much sold in the same place, same store. So it makes sense to link them. There's linkage there. This went through the codes committee, went through legal review. I'm comfortable with the definitions. There was a question on the home sales, which comes up in a later, that's going to come up in resolution 23. This doesn't regulate home sales, but let's just answer that question now while
Could
we have
answer
you.
that now, yeah. Anybody who's doing a home occupation has to obtain a permit from our building department, and that would include retail from their home. The reason for it is limiting the nuisances of traffic, number of people on a site at one time, signage, and other potential, I don't know if there's odors associated. I'm sorry.
The other thing I want to chime in on that is that this is all about, concentrations of use too. I mean, what this is addressing here is where the primary use is retail sales of products. Somebody who conducts CDB sales out of their home, that's a secondary use.
Right.
It's accessory and incidental to the primary use, which is the residence.
Right.
So, that's a properly termed as a home occupation and is not affected by this law. And then the other thing about the definition, the way I read that, marijuana dispensary, as Melissa had it drafted, establishment for selling marijuana and associated products, both medical, CBD, or recreational concentrations, which is a higher concentration of THC in any form, topical, edible, or inhaling. So what that definition is saying, it's the establishment selling these products, it's not commentary on the products themselves.
Right.
So I'm fine with the definitions, and I think the preservation of CDB oil sales out of the home is preserved by virtue of our home occupation clause.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Councilman Martin. Any other questions or comments?
Could I just make
Seeing
inquiry?
none, please record the vote. Oh, just a moment. I'm sorry, Councilman Galuski, was that you?
Yes, thank you. I think there's like a 3-second tape delay from my attic here. I just want to put this out there. Because it goes along with the conversation we just had, it's probably more appropriate for 3 resolutions from now. But if a business is currently selling CBD oil outside of the adult overlay district, would they be grandfathered in if it predates what we're
Yes.
passing this evening? Okay.
Yep.
That's all.
All non-conforming use is grandfathered in. You just can't expand.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
3 seconds.
Councilwoman Rosowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzley?
Yes, resolution passes. It'd be cool if you guys start saying yes 3 seconds before she's done, and then we can like synchronize it.
I've
It'd be, like,
tried
really
it.
cool.
but then it looks like I'm interrupting her for people that are watching from home.
That'll be the time when it just comes through quickly.
I'll be this awkward guest.
That'd be cool. All right, so we got terminology down. Now we're moving on to the neg deck. Resolution 18 regarding negative declaration pursuant to seeker regarding the solar farm overlay district. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. As I just said, this is the negative deck on seeker. Any questions or comments?
I just want to thank the environmental conservation committee for their hard work on this. Those guys, you know, when we send them something to do, they put their heart in it. Questions and
Yes.
But they were good questions and they pointed, and I'm glad to be able to listen. I'm learning a lot from those guys. So,
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Supervisor? Mr.
Yes,
Supervisor,
yes.
if I don't know if
Yes.
anyone else is experiencing this, but the speakers are very muffled except for you. So I don't know if they're not close enough to their microphone. I'm not sure how the system works, but I really didn't hear anything of what Councilman Aragosa was saying. And some of the other roll calls I've been having to kind of guess that it's my turn. So
Councilwoman Rosbowski, and now we sound like we're, what I did remember to do was start the recording on this, but what I forgot to do was to turn on the microphone. So hopefully, once we get through, you'll hear them now, I think, better. So.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Apologize and thank you. I can't, I got a lot of different things going on here. I'm trying to coordinate things, but thank you.
Understood.
So-
Understood.
We're thanking the code. We thank everybody for all their input
The roll call.
and work on this. And now I am going to ask you to record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzley?
Yes. Okay, next resolution 21, adopting local law number 5 of 2021, amending section 270, 157A, penalties for offenses. This is the one that will set a minimum civil fine of $150. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution. Yes. Oh, Miss 19, the solar farm overlay?
And 20.
No, 20 was the minimum. Yeah. So Linda, keep us straight. Do we have to go back to 19? Unless it's not in the
I know we
packet.
did the neg deck.
We did the neg deck.
All right, we didn't do, we did. Linda says she's got the vote.
Good boy.
Okay, so 19, 20, and now 21 are done. We'll move on to 22. So you got everyone voted in 19, right? You got the vote on it? Yeah, okay. Resolution 22 is approving the zoning map amendment for 231 Saratoga Road and 233 Saratoga Road as general business. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. And this is the very important first step in getting our much beloved and anticipated Chipotle here. This has been a long process, a very long process, and we're very excited to welcome them. I've spent a lot of time working on this project, and I want to thank all those, Melissa and the planning board and Jim and all of the small business economic development folks and all the work everyone has done on this. Shovel's not in the ground yet, but this is step one to get us there, and so I'm very excited about
I
it.
just want to say too, this is a long focused area of town center or on the edge of town center. There's been a lot of hurdles to overcome on those properties to get this done. But this will bring, I think, some very nice revitalization to our commercial center. And at the same time, this is being respectful of the residential neighborhood that adjoins it. So I think this is a very positive step for our business community, and it's a win-win in that, you know, people have expressed the idea for having food choices in the community,
Yes.
and we continue to expand that. And I think this will be a nice member of our restaurant community as well.
And I want to say the well now actually looks very nice, and I think does a
Yeah.
really nice job
Nice
bringing
presence
that
on the street
commercial
too.
look back. Yeah, very nice presence. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Petzler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 23, adopting local law 6 of 2021, amending 270-4 1B4, adult use overlay district uses allowed of the code of the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. As I mentioned, as we talked about, this would add, amend and add to the newly defined recreational marijuana, hookah, CBD oil as a list of permitted uses in retail sales allowed in the adult use overlay district. Any questions or comments?
I just
Just
want
a
to say, I
comment.
think this is a positive step. You know, we all know that recreational marijuana is, you know, the legalization of it's coming. And we're proactively getting out ahead of that by identifying areas in the community where we think this is appropriate. So I think this is a positive step and a proactive one.
Thank you. Councilman Godlewski?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just to comment generally, you know, I think it's important to note that what this resolution does, it doesn't say that a business as defined in the prior resolution can't come to town. It just limits where that business could go. Other communities have done this in states where marijuana has already been legalized. For example, that you don't have dispensaries on the Las Vegas Strip. They're in different parts of town. So I do support this resolution. I do share some of the speaker's concerns about perhaps some of the perception that one could view from this, but I think it's important to note that it just limits where it could go. It doesn't necessarily say that it can't come to town or it can't be in town, but it just limits the area it could go in.
And I also want to note, really piggybacking off that, is many of the a lot of the states anyway that have legalized it so far gave control to the local governments if they wanted to allow it within their municipal boundaries or not. This state did not do that, and this really leaves us with the only tool available, where otherwise we may not have even needed to allow it within our municipal borders. But New York is supposed to be a home rule state, and I think that just is another example of where home rule is being trampled, and folks who want to be able to determine how their community is, where they live, ought to be concerned about that, because really the governor's left us with no other tools other than this opportunity to limit where it can go. And I know in Colorado, it's up to local control. They decide if it comes in or doesn't come in. The local governments also share then in the revenue. That is not happening in the state of New York. And that's something else that is unfortunate and another loss for the taxpayers, property taxpayers within the town and county, frankly. So good point. And I just wanted to elaborate on that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa? Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Petzler?
Yes, resolution passes. Resolution 24 is off the agenda for tonight. We hope to have it back at the next meeting. Resolution 25 is a clerical cleanup of the Deputy Highway Superintendent, Commissioner of Public Works, his salary in the 2021 org meeting. Resolution 16 of 2021 had an administrative error, and we're cleaning that up here tonight. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second? I have a motion by Councilman Argosa, second by Councilman Wozzowski. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa.
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzler.
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 26, authorizing the purchase of a boom tandem roller. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Only name. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that one? Councilwoman, I don't know. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. So
Hang on.
I got it here. It's
Are
a
you-
tandem
Okay.
roller. Tandem roller that the highway superintendent recommends that we utilize pricing available under the New York State contract list. And this was included in our capital expenditures in the 2021 budget.
And the total is 35,156.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa.
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzler.
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, approving the minutes of the regular town board meeting held on January 20th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second? Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution, if approved, would approve the minutes from our last town board meeting, the January 20th meeting. We received the minutes in our email, and I would thank Ms. Niels and her staff for putting those together for us.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa. Councilman Godlewski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzler.
Yes, resolution passes. Next item on the agenda is new business, and I'll start again on the webinar with Councilman Godlewski.
Just what's becoming kind of a refrain to encourage folks listening and to encourage those listening to continue to be safe, continue to take proper precautions. Yesterday was Groundhog Day. I caught some of the movie, which I love, with Bill Murray, and subsequently landed in quarantine yet again. So it feels like Groundhog Day for me. My frustration levels are high with the coronavirus, but I know a lot of people have not to be insensitive to it. I know a lot of people have suffered a lot worse than I, and certainly am send my thoughts out to community members who have really been affected by coronavirus. But just to encourage people to keep doing what they need to do, wearing masks and maintaining distance, and hopefully the numbers have seemed to be dropping. Supervisor shared some news today on social media about the vaccine being available at our local CVS for seniors, which is positive, and hopefully we're moving in the right direction. And that's all. Thank you.
Well, we hope you and your family stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you. We miss you here, Mike.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Wozzowski.
I have nothing.
Nothing. Councilman Aragosa. Councilman Martin.
Nothing new.
Okay, well, I have nothing either. So we'll just ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have to wait 3 seconds. We just got their ayes. No one's opposed. We're adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night. Good night.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.